If you are gullible enough to just blindly accept the tripe that was sold to you, and by the way, most people are that gullible or lazy, then the common news story is that the claim that's been repeated throughout the media since 2013 of a frame job claiming that Dutschke mailed the KC letters. That's what you've been told for over a decade. And anybody that tries to tell you that, by the way, or implies it, or selectively edits or cherry picks bits of fact, they're doing so with the intent to hide from you all of the actual facts from you, because that claim is false. People who hide the full truth from you, those who misdirect, those who are doing that sort of thing, they're obviously doing so for a reason. In the press, it's usually laziness or for the sake of sensationalism, but their sources are equally to blame, if you think about it. But those people who have been hiding those things from you, just remember, they're people who try to hide things, they have something to hide. Now, for the press, laziness or sensationalism or agenda or some combination of the three, maybe, but the reporting that blames me for the mailing, that is a sinister act, because no evidence has ever suggested that at all. In fact, exactly the opposite. It's a sinister act which plays right into the hands of those people who created that narrative. And they created that narrative for a reason, their own reason. The press, for now over 10 years now, they regurgitated that. And in a way, so did the filmmakers of the Kings of Tupelo television series. At one point, they actually present me in episode 3 as saying, KC is not a part of this. And you also hear me say, no, he had this had absolutely nothing to do with Paul Kevin Curtis. Now, those were my words, but the reality is that those quotes were presented completely out of context. Those quotes were in my immediate answers to a question that was posed by the director. When the director asked me, tell me about Kevin Curtis's relationship to Rabita Trust. Those were his words. That was his inquiry. Well, because Kevin Curtis had no association with Rabita Trust at all, my only answer could have been what my recorded answer was, which was this. Kevin Curtis was not part of it. That had nothing to do with Kevin Curtis. And I also said, and this is specific, that's not his world. My world and his world are completely different. We're completely different. Despite his attempts, by the way, to co-opt and appropriate my life, something I really would assure him that he really would want no part of. The things that I've done, the things that I have faced, these are the kind of things that he would run from. He could never do what I do. Even to this day, he still tries to be me, which is really weird because I'm in a maximum custody federal prison. That guy would last about 10 seconds here. Anyway, our worlds were completely different. So my answer to the director, which was what you heard recorded and played back for you out of context, my answer was correct. It was true. Kevin Curtis had nothing to do with Rabita Trust or the Rabita Trust monsters that I chased and dealt with and hunted, who ended up hunting me back, even through their government proxies years later. But as to those stupid KC letters, well, he had everything to do with that. It's impossible to have been anyone else. And on this very channel, on this YouTube channel, you will find out how. Yeah, you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. Remember, this isn't about a single event. This case is about two different events, two different elements. One element is the mailer, who mailed the letters. The other is the maker. So I want you to remember, Kevin Curtis was arrested and he was charged with the mailing. The FBI's very own sworn affidavit even shows that. They considered the letters, as threats, even though there was nothing specific that he had written in the letters that actually threatened anything. So it really wouldn't have held up in court. Even his own attorney, Christy McCoy, would have had a field day with that. As a matter of law, they really wouldn't have been considered threats. Couldn't have been convicted. But he didn't know that. He was terrified. So after about a week of court hearings, Kevin Curtis's attorney, her name was Christy McCoy, during the Curtis hearing, she mentioned my name. And that's when his hearings came to a screeching halt. The judge, Susan Alexander at that time, she said that the hearings would reconvene in the morning. But they didn't. Remember, they were talking about who was the mailer. But the second she mentioned my name, that's when everyone, the FBI, the press, everyone suddenly forgot about the mailer, and they started focusing on who was the maker. And that's the other element. And then from that point forward, everything that was presented, all the things about the case that you heard, were phony and fabricated evidence, even a few entrapment schemes even. They all dealt with the making of ricin, who developed the chemical weapon that they fraudulently presented as a biological weapon. So I was arrested, and then I was charged. I was charged with the making, not the mailing. Everybody forgot about the mailing all of a sudden and focused on the making, not the mailing. Here, read the affidavit for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You should have been looking at on your screen right now, should have been for a few minutes here, Kevin Curtis's actual arrest affidavit. And now here's mine. But the sycophantic press, they kind of forgot everything that they had repeated over and over and had been repeating, and they never returned to the mailing element. Everything that they had reported, everything that the FBI swore from the stand, they just suddenly forgot about. Wait a minute, Mr. Dutschke, the press has said for over 10 years that Dutschke was the mailer. None of them bothered to separate the two different acts. Are you saying you're not the mailer? Well, then who is? That's exactly the right question to have asked. But the fact is, Kevin Curtis, by evidence period, is the only person who could have. And there's a reason for that, because he's the one that did. So stop focusing on the maker. Kevin Curtis is the mailer. Good luck trying to convince me otherwise. And I think you're about to agree. There's a lot that the Kings of Tupelo researchers, they knew, they found out. Even things that he personally admitted to them that never even made it on the screen. The FBI too, but they never told you. Now, don't get it wrong now. The FBI did tell you some of this stuff, most of it, the press too, but that was when back in 2013 when they were trying to get him. And they revealed this, a lot of it, during his court hearings. But now I have even more details. And even though the DOJ and the FBI, in their dirty press, they immediately, back in 2013, they decided to make you forget everything that they had already reported to you, I won't. I'm going to share it with you, and I'm going to do it right here. This YouTube channel isn't moving as fast as I really want it to. It's been going on for a couple of years now, and I'm forced to operate at the speed of other people. There are people who have their own lives, even supporters. Adopting a prisoner really isn't part of their daily priorities. Besides, after years and years of agency monitoring and a SAM order from a previous president, which denied me any communication with any human being, by the way, even my own attorney of record, the Department of Justice, the BOP, they still only allow me essentially 30 minutes a day and 15-minute calls. That's only 30 minutes a day, really, to use my First Amendment right to keep you up to date, which, by the way, violates your First Amendment right to get the truth of these previously hidden matters, getting the truth from me. So it takes multiple people, multiple calls, even multiple days, even weeks sometimes, for others to properly produce and post what I could do myself in mere minutes if I was out there with you. What's easy for you and a 6-year-old child is nearly an impossible task for me. Maybe that's by intent, because the DOJ does not like its prisoners making progress, especially if it embarrasses the DOJ. And it also explains their limit on my monitored comms. There have been some issues from the very beginning. As an example, from years ago with First Amendment access, even before the SAM order was over and my agency monitors stopped their 24/7 monitoring and stopped worrying about what I might disclose to reporters, it was unnecessary obstacles. Let me give you an example of attempts that were used to keep me quiet. Here's one that's really important. You won't believe this, but I wouldn't believe it myself if I hadn't lived through it, experienced it myself during the Biden administration. Despite that I had already known of their free speech, censorship proclivities. Remember, first, here, the Biden administration, especially in the beginning, was kind of Obama's third term. So the same players were controlling the same field with the same agenda. And that included Susan Rice, for example. So my friend Ross Ulbricht, who was the founder of Silk Road, he had a project manager who was also his fiancée. Her name was Caroline. Ross convinced me that I needed a petition put up on change.org, which was an easy sale, really, because he ended up with well over 500,000 signatures, which helped him eventually get a full presidential pardon. So Caroline put up a petition for me on change.org, and it explained a bit of the truth and revealed a lot. And the signatures started rolling in. Then that's when COVID hit. So that's when I rewrote the text of that petition. It actually became written as Indict Fauci and Free Dutschke. The gist of it was kind of a lot of detailed side-by-side detail versus detail contrast between myself and Anthony Fauci. For example, I am convicted and sentenced to prison, literally, for developing a biological weapon. Literally, that is my charge and conviction. And it was not biological, nor was it weaponized. Yet Fauci did develop a biological weapon and outsourced that development to our enemies, no less. And he was not charged, he was not indicted, he was not prosecuted or convicted. And make no mistake here, there's no question about it. Gain of function is weaponization. It literally, that is the point of gain of function, is weaponization. And it was alleged that I developed a chemical weapon of targeted assassination, in this case, to wit, ricin. In this case, the reality was that it was intentionally rendered harmless. It killed absolutely no one. In fact, they knew that in advance of the entire thing. There's literally a CDC Form 4 with my name on it for the harmless product that they were alleging. But they didn't tell you that. They told you it was the deadly toxin ricin. Now, on the other hand, Fauci's development via Peter Daszak and outsourced to a lab in China actually was a bioweapon. It was very much untargeted. It literally affected people around the world. It was very much biological. It was untargetable. It killed millions of people. So, hence the petition, Indict Fauci and Free Dutschke. That was, I think, in fact, the title of it on change.org. And it was a very simple concept. It got a bunch of signatures. Even Kevin Curtis himself signed it. But then it vanished. And with it, all of the signatures that were on it. So then I contacted Caroline to learn what happened. She was the one that created it. So she was told by Change.org that the administration, that is the Biden administration, told Change.org to remove that petition, remove the Indict Fauci Free Dusky petition. I want you to think about that. This literally happened. The Biden White House, as she documented, the Biden White House could not allow you to learn the truth even in an online petition. They called Change.org, told them to remove it. They had to hide all that information, cover it up, and so they did. And for some stupid reason, Change.org capitulated. It's pathetic, it's sad, but it's very true. Strange, shocking. I wouldn't believe it if it had not happened to me. But you know what? We printed it out, including the signatures. Now, here's another example. This also happened during Biden. The Kings of Tupelo movie producers, the Way brothers, they wanted to get access to me here for on-camera interviews, on which my segments were delivered by telephone. Here's what happened. The King of Tupelo director, he filled out the media interview requests for the DOJ in accordance with the First Amendment requirements. A date was actually chosen and scheduled for the film crew to come here and interview me on camera here. It was November something or other of 2023. Now, on the day just before that date, this entire facility went into what's called lockdown. That means everybody got confined to their cells 24/7. Everybody. And this lasted for days. Even me. No lockdown. No calls, no visits, no communication. You're in your cell 24/7. Nothing. So the director, McLean Way, he tried again. They even got Warner Brothers, who was working up deals with Netflix to hire kind of a high-powered First Amendment law firm. The lead attorney there was actually friends with this warden, and I think this guy's from Arizona, so they thought that access was going to look, pretty good. Well, they thought wrong. The situation actually got shut down again by the DOJ, specifically by the Deputy Attorney General. Her name is Lisa Monaco, and there's no way she was going to let me anywhere near a camera if she could stop it, and so she did stop it. This actually happened. Did they bother telling you about this in the Kings of Tupelo? No, they didn't. They should have. And why, by the way? Who is Lisa Monaco? That's exactly the right question to ask. Who is Lisa Monaco? Here's why. Lisa Monaco, previously, was the right hand of and also the dirty trick understudy of John Brennan. And it was John Brennan who was the real mastermind behind all of this during the Obama administration. The very same people in the Biden administration as the Obama administration, especially early, but even now, even under the Trump administration, which doesn't share the same desire to cover up the Obama administration malfeasance, even now, though, I still have limits on how I can do this. I'm limited to my, 30 minutes a day, essentially. These calls are rerouted through D.C. All my calls are monitored. Trust me, the DOJ knows. They're fully aware of every single word that I speak, and they share that information. This is not happening in a vacuum, and yet still, right now, and for the last year or so, it seems that there's a couple of fellows out there who are throwing a tantrum that you are being allowed to hear the truth from me, the one man who knows it all. These two big babies, what they want to do is trample on not just my First Amendment rights, but it's yours too. That's how little they think of you. In fact, they complain, it's not right that he's allowed to make phone calls while he's in the prison that we put him in. That's what they're whining. Well, you know what? Let them. Just remember this. They are making it obvious that they don't want me to talk. They're making it obvious that the information I'm bringing you, finally, is exactly the information that they're trying to hide. Trying to keep the source, me, I'm the source, trying to keep the source quiet, silent. So again, I'll remind you, when someone is trying to keep something hidden from you, it's because there's something to hide. Attacking those who help me, attacking those who have tried to help, or those that you think are trying to help me, Well, that kind of reveals something. That reveals poor character. So I remind the attacker, and you probably already know who it is, that it's actually a crime to do exactly what you've already done. In Mississippi, slandering a business, in this case, Benelli's Restaurant, even the owner, in Tupelo, that is what's called malicious interference. So what you've already done, sir, online, therefore in public, that's already a state criminal act. In fact, in the past, I have taken people to court for exactly that very criminal deed, and I won. Do you know who the judge was in that case? Sadie Holland. So I strongly suggest to those clowns, especially to Kevin Curtis, don't. Quit attacking that man. Instead, keep your attacks, your phoniness, all your lies, keep them all. Keep them focused on me, because Lord knows you do not want the public to consume the details that I'm about to make the public privy to. So I want you to watch this channel for upcoming videos and upcoming calls. Until next time, that is my 3 chords and the truth.